So, hello. Today I'm going to do not a read through, probably not even a complete flip through, but I want to show you something that, well, it's pretty much a birthday present that I'm giving to myself. It's the Dungeons and Dragons Art and Arcana Visual History Special Edition. As you can see, it's still in shrink. I believe it's from 2018. It actually doesn't say, but it says the retail price when it first came out was $125 and 163 Canadian dollars. I got it for 73 euros, including shipping, from the Book Depository in England. Now, this is essentially an illustrated history of all things Dungeons and Dragons. When I say all things, it also includes reference to the video games, to the computer games. And it is one of those things that you buy, it's like a folly. You know, you buy it, you're probably not going to read it cover to cover. You're just going to take it out, look at it, read a couple of pages or maybe a chapter, and then move on, do something else, and then come back to it later. So first of all, we will just remove the shrink, and it feels gorgeous. It's very soft to the touch. It's kind of like a little bit rubbery. And of course, it's got this lovely dragon emblem. It was written by Michael Whitwer, Kyle Newman, John Peterson, and Sam Whitwer. And we open up the case, because it comes in a case, and the case is like a book. Very nice. And here we've got an envelope. I mean, even just the look of the box is magnificent. So it's still sealed, it's new, so I'm just gonna unseal it. And let's see what's in here. Just gonna put this to the side. Yes, that's the original Tomb of Horrors 1975 tournament module. I did a flip through a book that contains this, and it was released for fourth. It was the original, and a couple of others. So yeah. Here we see it's 2018. So it's an introduction, and here we have it's a facsimile version of it. Yeah, as you can see, it's even faded, and you've got all of these stains. So that's a facsimile version of it. That's a really nice. I guess memento, you know, thinking back of I mean, I never played it. And of course, in 1975, I was 2 years old. So, yeah. But we've got just look at the map. This was hand-drawn. And here we've got the pictures. Yeah. It is just, oh, look at this one. Ah, I love this one. And of course, the face. The demon's face. Yeah, the art has certainly changed. Very nice. Just look at this. It's like a chest, and there are snakes in it coming out of it. And this is something. And all of the artwork that you would have shown to Tracy C. Lesh, 1975. Ah, yes, a throne, stairs, and the appendix, Tomb of Rahotep, Alan Lucian. And again, a facsimile version of it. The Lich of Rahotep, and that's that, and of course the picture on the back. And then here we've got art. This could be Keep on the Borderlands. Yes, it is. It's the cover picture of Keep on the Borderlands, and we've got these goblins with the blue noses. I don't know this one. Cover painting of World of Greyhawk in 1983, Jeff Easley. This one I love. Death Knights. I played the whole Champions of Krynn saga on the C64. Those were the days. Cover painting of Swords of Deceit by Keith Parkinson, 1986. Oh yeah, this is the one that I find really terrible because look at what they did to that poor dragon. That's, you know, like dragons are evil. It's the interior painting from the second edition Player's Handbook, 1989 by Larry Elmore. Indeed. Yeah. Oh, ooh, very nice. Very nice. I think it's like this. So they are basically trying to... The dwarf is trying to save this person from falling down, and these two are attacking the... And this is interesting because the dragon looks green, but I've been told that this is essentially a black dragon. Could have fooled me. And it is the Forge of Fury cover painting, 2000 by Todd Lockwood. So that's only 21 years old. Cover painting of Player's Handbook, 1978 by David Trampier. Oh yes, that's the iconic one with the demon where they are trying to steal the diamond from its eyes. Yeah. Promotional painting for Dungeons and Dragons 30th anniversary 2004 by Todd Lockwood. Yeah, you can really see how the art has evolved there, and how it's changed. Yeah, especially when you compare it to this. And I still don't understand why its body is kind of see-through. I don't know if this means it's just appearing out of nothingness. It's the cover painting of the Fiend Folio, 1981 by Emmanuel. Emmanuel, no last name. This is a big one. Oh, very nice. This is almost like a Chinese style dragon up here, with the elongated body and no visible, wings. Yeah, and the ghosts. I like the ghosts, I like the moon. And this is the Dungeon Master screen, 1979. It's the exterior painting by Dave Trampier. And, oh, this is a big one, so I don't think I can show you everything in one go. Somebody just slew a giant. So here we've got the slayers in the middle. Here is the body. This is kind of, I don't know if you can see, it's probably not. This is the top. There's antlers on his back, and there's the hand. And over here is the poor creature's giant head. And this is a painting from... Oh, it's actually the interior painting from Storm King's Thunder, 2016 by Chris Rahn. That's a fifth edition module. Apparently a really good one. I haven't played it myself. Our DM has it, and he basically hated everything, all of the modules for 5th edition. Every single one he had, he criticized heavily, except for Strahd. So I'm just going to put this back. Just going to put it back in here. And this is the actual book. Yes, and it is quite heavy. So I'm just going to put the case away. The case itself is also quite hefty. So, and again, it's this nice rubbery feeling. Yeah, so let's see. The village of Homlet. And a beholder. Isn't that the Monster Manual cover for 5th edition? I think it is. Dungeons and Dragons, Art and Arcana, a visual history. Okay, so, and of course, visual history, there is a lot of illustrations in here. So we've got a foreword, introduction, read magic about this book, detect magic, original edition, pyrotechnics, first edition, explosive runes, the crash of 1983, polymorph self, second edition, Big B's interposing hand, the fall of TSR, reincarnation, third edition, simulacrum, V 3.5 and DDM, Maze, 4th edition, and Wish, 5th edition. Okay. Oh my word. I don't recall this ad, because first of all, it's from the United States and it's probably from the 1970s. But I recall similar ads from the 80s for computer games and for computers, and it's just so... it actually says here, this is 1980. Yeah. Forward by Joe Manganiello. So that's apparently he himself. Joe, with his character Arcana the Cruel, as conceived by acclaimed D&D artist Jeff Easley. Okay. So... introduction. If it's true that we live in an era when it's chic to be geek, well, I don't know about that. Dungeons and Dragons is just about the coolest thing out there. Maybe. It is, and it will always be the game of the geeks, but its fandom is no longer so neatly contained. That's true. I think, for one, we're all getting older. So, yeah, Vin Diesel is mentioned, of course. They talk about Elder Scrolls. Of course, Stranger Things. And I can't say that I know who these people are. Stream of Annihilation. Yeah, well, I don't follow any of this. Read magic about this book. So now we find out what the book is about that we bought. Covering 45 years of art advertising and ephemera of the greatest game on earth is a formidable task. Well, I would argue that the greatest game on earth is actually chess, and one that requires an appropriately comprehensive approach. To this end, we have endeavored to provide as many of angles, flavors, and perspectives as possible to match the diversity of the visual archive itself. Here are a few devices we used to unlock this narrative. Beware of traps. The story. D&D is a game of stories. Stories you read, stories you tell, and stories you play. But D&D itself has a story all of its own. Archaeology. D&D is a game of visuals. Artists favor it. D&D is a game of artists. From homebrewed doodlers to classically trained masters. Deadliest dungeons. D&D is a game of dungeons. Of course, dungeons come in many shapes and sizes. Evolution. D&D is a game of monsters. Nothing defines the game quite like the bizarre and grotesque creatures it introduced into our world. Many faces. D&D is a game of characters. Sundry lore. D&D is a game of ideas. A note about dates. While the artwork development date and actual publication date for a given product can vary significantly as a matter of convention, we use product copyright dates as the functional dates of both the products as well as the associated artwork. It's fine by me. Detect magic. Yeah. Now, this manticore, yeah, I guess. I mean, I will say this. To me, this is truly a history of something that hasn't maybe ruled my life or defined my life as it may have defined other people's lives or ruled other people's lives. But I'm a gamer, have been pretty much since I was 6 years old, and started telling stories to myself using my Playmobil little figures and telling stories. But to me, this is also a history of it's of culture. It's a cultural history, and I don't want to call it pop culture. I want to call it culture, because I think it is one of the things that has really informed people's lives and our culture in the West, at least. It has spawned so many other games, so many ideas, so many things that we do today. And the fact that it's now almost become mainstream, because it is true that it gets mentioned a lot more often. I mean, we have people like Vin Diesel, who came out, as it were, several years ago saying, well, yeah, I play this game when I'm on set and not doing anything. So when I'm not acting, but I'm on set and I have time on my hands, then of course it featured in Stranger Things, and it's definitely left this niche of it's only people with really weird glasses that spend all of their times in the basement. But it is something that I really like. I don't, as I said, I don't play D&D at the moment. It's not that I wouldn't go back to it, but it's just not something that's happening at the moment. I've got other things to do and other games to play, I should say. But to me, it's also a story of a world that I grew up in. Not so much, of course, the United States in the 70s. But, for example, I'm also a war gamer. And, of course, Chainmail is Rules for Medieval Miniatures by Gary Gygax and Jeff Perrin, which is what D&D developed from. So these are all things that I find relevant. I've also played with castles like this. I didn't have a dragon, but I had a dragon in my head. And I just think it's great to see how from the ideas and the stamina as well of these people developed such a great franchise and such a great game, because you can hate Dungeons and Dragons for various reasons, and I know that even fans of Dungeons and Dragons sometimes really get entrenched in wars over which edition to play, and is 4th edition actually Dungeons and Dragons? In my opinion, yes it is, and it's probably most true to the original, because it is very much a tactical game where you should, in my opinion, use minions. But it's also, in a way, it tells a story of how we have come a long way in terms of visuals. I mean, it's even called The Ugly Witch. And here we've got The Beautiful Witch. You know, these are just things that we've seen in our culture, and how they have developed. And this is also something that I really like, when you see how art has developed. I mean, this is a dragon from, doesn't even say, center on sheet. Oh yes, doesn't say when, but it's the Monsters and Treasures booklet from the original Dungeons and Dragons box set. So yeah, that dates it. And then when you look at, you couldn't even sell anything with a dragon like this today. You know, it's interesting to just see how art has developed. Strange inspirations. I mean, look at this Hydra, isn't it? It's almost cute at this stage. Yeah, here you see the old, and then even here, like the development from the 1974 to the 2014 purple worm. I just find these things incredibly interesting. And I say this, and I'm somebody who I couldn't draw to save my life. I mean, I couldn't draw my way out of a paper bag, as it were. Yeah, and here, Outer Survival, a game about wilderness skills. The old dice that you had to fill in yourself. Greyhawk. The first world that was. And then even the Beholder. You know, this is like, and then this is the iconic one. I remembered this one. And this one is just, these two are just plainly terrifying. This one is a lot less terrifying than this one. Or the Lizard Men, you know, and even like how it developed. TSR Hobbies. Sales will skyrocket with the TSR game line. Well, they didn't make it in Germany when they first tried it, because they just basically pissed off Germany's largest toy maker, who they wanted to sell this for them, but the royalties they demanded were so high that and it basically they ended up fighting over it, and then the German seller said, well, you know what, we're going to do our own, we're going to make this ourselves, we're going to create our own role-playing game, and we're going to blow you guys out of the water. And they did. They created the Dark Eye, das Schwarze Auge, and they sold 100,000 first edition boxes in one go. And of course, when you say, okay, 100,000, even by today's standards, that's huge. There are no print runs like that anymore. But even back then, when it was kind of something that was happening, considering that the German-speaking market, and you didn't have the GDR because you wouldn't have been able to sell it then, Germany, West Germany was 60 million. You had maybe 6 to 10 million people in Austria and maybe Switzerland that could have bought it, let's say 70 million. That's an addressable market. Of course, not everyone would buy it. So 100,000 sold units is huge. And yeah, D&D actually didn't make it onto the German market back then because DSA was there and it's still here. Ah, yes. The famous one. Ah, yes, the Demogorgon. Everyone who's watched Stranger Things version, season 1 will remember the Demogorgon because it plays a huge role in there. Enter the Dragon. Of course, dragons. It's Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, this is a really great one. I love this one. Music Lover by Robin Wood. The cover art for Dragon number 97. Yeah. That's Dragon magazine. Oh, I could look at this all day. I probably will. Oh yes, that's the Owl Bear. And I remember spending a whole afternoon that was slow at work messaging with my colleague, and we were wondering, do owl bears lay eggs and do they then hatch, or do they give birth to live cubs? And we were kind of like, you know, thinking what would they look like. I love owl bears. So if you happen to know if owl bears lay eggs and then hatch, or they give birth to live owl bears, and if you can send me a picture, please do. And this is this. Whenever I see this dragon, it reminds me of a picture in one of the Hobbits mass market paperbacks, and the dragon smout looks a lot like this. Yes, that's the monster manual. Pyrotechnics. It produces a flashing and fiery burst of glowing coloured aerial fireworks. Yeah, so here we've got the coloured versions. It's a book. It's just, I mean, this book is just gorgeous. Games for Imaginative People from TSR. Yeah. Yes, and of course, people wandering through mushroom farms. So somebody was doing shrooms at the time and they decided, whoa. Enter the gateway to adventure. Yeah, and honestly, even just, I mean, I'm not somebody who works in marketing, but I do sometimes write marketing-y texts. And when I just look at these old marketing materials, it's just so interesting to see how people were able to, you know, sell stuff and how they would go about it. Oh, I mean, this is just, oh, look at this, and there's the guy burning in the street. Oh, I love these drawings. I love these drawings. Oh, this is a paladin in hell. Very interesting. And here we have Darlene's full-page homage to 19th century English illustrator Aubrey Beardsley. It's a very lovely drawing. I really love this. Oh yeah, and this is an old mind flayer. That looks cute. I really hate, when I was playing Eye of the Beholder on the PC, I really hated the mind flayers. I really did. Errol Otis, D&D Surrealist. Yeah. That's a gibbering mouther. Yes. We all remember James Dallas Egbert III. He gave Dungeons and Dragons a really bad name because he went missing. He didn't die playing Dungeons and Dragons. He didn't even die down there. He basically was found later. There's a terrible film with, what's his name? Tom Hanks about the story, where they basically made it out that he went crazy playing Dungeons and Dragons. He was found, and later on he actually shot himself. And it had nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons. He was just mentally unstable. And he was also a child prodigy who went to university at a very, 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 very young age. I read up on the story, on his story, and it's a tragic life story. But the point is also, he was very young, very impressionable probably, but also probably completely out of his depth, because he's this child prodigy that's almost just a teenager, and he's just turned, I don't know, he was very young when he went to university, and everyone was a lot older than him. And and I think he must have been really, really lonely. And of course, in here it even says that it's an apparent takeoff on the popular J.R.R. Tolkien trilogy, Lord of the Rings, a fantasy that deals with the search for a magic ring, yada yada yada. It suggests that he went into the tunnels, and it's a terrible story. And it says here, in mid-September, Egbert resurfaced in Louisiana. He had simply run away to escape academic pressures and other personal problems. Unsurprisingly, this resolution was not nearly such good copy as the sensationalized D&D theory. And of course, then there were those religious nutters that thought that somebody who plays this actually tries to summon demons and, whatnot, and sacrifices people. And of course, that's all crazy talk, but it just goes to show. Oh, I love these. I love maps. I've said it on multiple occasions. I just love maps. And just look at this. This is Greyhawk. Oh, isn't it Azure Sea? Oh, lols. I actually love the 2002 one. Of course, she's Shelob. In some of these, she's Shelob, like where she's basically this spider with a human head, or down here, even in 1981. Caves of Chaos, maps, Barrier Peaks, Ravenloft, Golden Age Adventures. This is just such a good book. The Fiend Folio. Yeah, and then they went all out and they produced miniatures. And then the dawn of digital. Yeah. I would not have played these ones because I didn't have a video console. Yeah, Rona Jaffe, Mazes and Monsters, a novel. That's the one that Mazes and Monsters is the book that's based on the Egbert III story, and it was then turned into a movie with Tom Hanks. Yeah. Explosive Ruins, The Crash of 1983. This is also a picture that's very iconic and that I really, really love. I mean, this guy opening the door on essentially hell. D&D in Japan, Hebrew, French. Oh, and that's the German version, Handbuch für Spielleiter. Colouring books. Yeah, that's when they went all out. That one I don't like as much. This Manticore, I don't know. The animated series, never saw that. Is this Mary Elmore? No, Jeff Easley. This is a really great picture of an orc. Dragonlance. Oh, look at this. Isn't that, I mean, that's just fabulous. Ah, that's Larry Elmore. Ah, yes. That was on one of the computer games as well. I want to say Champions of Krynn. Interestingly enough, with the eyes closed, he looks a lot less interesting than with the eyes open. Yeah. Oh, there was a calendar. Character cards. And oh, look at this picture. Isn't that a beauty? And of course, the original Temple of Elemental Evil. This is a really, really iconic picture that I really love. Okay, who are you? I've got no idea what this is. Oh, it's a pinball machine. Forgotten Realms, yeah. Yeah. I remember seeing those. Yeah. And R.A. Salvatore. This is a beholder that looks like somebody, I don't know, was telling it, actually, all of your stock has gone down and you're essentially broke. That looks almost like somebody took a photograph and then turned it into a painting. The Ruins of Undermountain. Oh, Drizzt. Here he looks really old. I always figured he was a lot younger, so yeah. Ah, Boxes of Gold. Yeah. I had Pool of Radiance. I remember playing this, yes, yes, and with this was the copyright protection. So you basically, without this wheel, you couldn't play. I remember this. 1987, oh my word. Yeah. I remember playing this. I loved it because it's the isometric look from kind of like above, and it is highly tactical because you can really move your guys around. When you create a lightning bolt, it goes through and then it'll bounce back from the wall. But if your own friends are standing here, they will actually be hit as well, or it can hit you when it bounces back. It was just such an amazing game. I played them all. Look, all of the fan mail they got. Okay, yeah, that's all of this stuff. Spelljammer, I never liked it. Oh, and here we are. Mind Flayers. I really hate those guys. They are terrible. And Ravenloft. Yeah. Hollow World. I don't know anything about that. Neverwinter Nights. Dragons. Yeah. Yeah. One of these ones, like this, is on Wrath of Ashardalon on the box. I wonder if they've got those in here as well. Those and that is a really, really, really iconic image. I saw that the other day because, and this, I remember seeing this, and I remember seeing the box of Dark Sun in a German department store. And I remember essentially this guy, this primal orc-like figure in front of the rising moon with those bone hammers or whatever they are, basically rising up and trying to fight against these guys. And it's like this, it's just such a primal image. And I remember this, and I've never forgotten it. I remember seeing this in 1990. Yeah. And this one, of course, it evokes all kinds of ideas. I am actually going to do something with Dark Sun, but not in D&D. Conan the Buccaneer. Yeah. City of Brass. Al-Qadim. Land of Fate. Monstrous Manual. The Legacy. R.A. Salvatore. Gen Con. Spellfire. Something in Japan. This is just such an interesting book. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean that's very interesting artwork. Bigby's Interposing Hand. Yeah, that's second edition AD&D. Years of TSR in 1980. Turn on the technology. Labyrinth of Madness. Birthright campaign setting. CD-ROM core rules. Ah, okay. Now in cyberspace. Baldurs Gate. I never played it, but it seems to have really informed a lot of people's ideas about D&D. Silver Anniversary, White Plume Mountain. Really love this one. Reincarnation, 3rd edition. orc. Ah, board game. Clue. It's the Clue. It's a D&D version of Clue. 3rd edition dragons. Black dragon. Does look greenish. Priestess of Loviatar controlling a devourer. I'm not sure if she's actually controlling him because he does look quite hungry. A mainstream comeback, the land behind the silver screen. Gary Gygax. I found no single redeeming feature in the D&D movie. Even the special effects weren't special. Devastating critique. Nice. Very nice. Simulacrum. I'm not sure what DDM is. Ah, Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. They are nice. Yeah. I wonder did they come painted. The Roper. I'm not familiar with that guy. Yeah. That's already a very modern look. That's a black dragon that's really black. Wired for adventure. Online gaming. Maze. 4th edition. Yeah. I've got the basic set. This one's in the mail. I actually got the print on demand. I don't like the art at all. It's totally like it's totally like Pathfinder, this, you know, spiky hair. I really hate the art, especially when you compare it to the older Dark Sun art, which is so much more evocative. That's just boring and stupid. But I want to read the book. This is nice. This is nice. And that is just creepy. And this is good too. I really love that one. I'm just wondering, do they have nothing about the board games in there? Oh, the Owl Bear. Improve your game with a bookmark. Retro. Ah, here we are. I got this one, I think, 2 years ago. Legend of Drizzt. It's still not painted. But I painted the other ones that I've got. Wish, 5th edition. Yeah. I just got, yeah, and here we are. This is the monster manual. I just got this monster manual in the mail this week. Oh, wow. Look at this. Look at this image. Loves the red dragon. Oh, he's got somebody in his claws. Ah, that guy's dead. We played this one. I loved it. I actually like him. I think the 2006 one looks too dead for me to be enticing or attractive. The Doom Vault. Very nice. And here we have the Sword Coast. Waterdeep, Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter. Icewind Dale, of course, Rime of the Frost Maiden. Yes, marvelous maps. It's Avernus, isn't it? Mindflayer Colony, Waterdeep. Tomb of Horrors. Not so sure about this one. And of course the starter set, Minds of Fandelver, I believe. Rise of Tiamat. Ataz Muhaha. Oh, lovely. Mordenkainen. So, everything 5th, 4th, 3.53, 2nd edition Advanced D&D. Advanced D&D. Acknowledgements and credits. 430 pages of, and haha, an index. So Geek Gamers, this book has an index. And here we've got a mimic. So this is Dungeons and Dragons, Art and Arcana, can't show you the title, the collector's edition or whatever it's called. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. I'm so glad I got it. Thanks for watching. Bye.